Welcome to the Rick Helps Real Estate Show, where after a while the little voice in your head says, why am I watching this? Welcome. Happy Friday, Pat.
Hey, Rick, how you doing, buddy?
Looks like you're at the office today.
Yep. I'm in the conference room.
Yeah, you need to just step outside and enjoy the weather. God, it's nice out there.
I know.
We'll make this a 3-minute live stream, and then we're going to cut out. Go outside and enjoy the day.
I think we lose viewers from Missouri, Wisconsin, Illinois, everybody.
Yeah. Well, we probably lost them when I said the weather was nice. So see, now 2 people dropped off right now. So I got we had 3, and then they saw our ugly mugs, and then off they went. So
no, it's 3 million, not 3, but 3 million.
3 million. So while we're waiting for a few loyal subscribers to jump in, I thought it'd be fun to share some of the stats from this channel. And so we're going to take a quick peek here, and because there's some interesting stuff. YouTube gives you your stats, and here we are. Watch time from subscribers. We have 56.6 of our viewers are not subscribed, and 43 are subscribed. That number's actually gone up. The not subscribed isn't a bad number. That means that people are bumping into us and watching it, and they're not subscribed. So it just shows up in their YouTube feed, and they're diving in, or they don't want to subscribe, which I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to subscribe.
We won't bug you that much.
No, you don't end up on an email list or anything. It just up at the top right-hand corner, you'll just get this little red mark and a little indication that says that we're on. And Terry says, I will endure it. I know it's rough out there, and it's beautiful out in Queen Creek too. So yeah, I know it's nice out there. Hey, here's something I wanted you to take a look at too, Pat, because it's not really an eye opener, but our audience is only 21% female and 78.8% male. So, just like in everyday life, this is, we're not attracting women now. This only tracks the entire channel, not individual videos, unless there's a lot of viewers. So keep in mind, Pat, when you look at this, that you're only on Fridays. So it's not that you're dragging me down. So I don't think like I've got more females that watch when you're not on. So okay. I guess what I'm professionally saying is, Pat, it's not you.
Okay.
It's me. So So just like now, the other stat that came up on YouTube said that the best time for us, Terry wants to know if this is a dating site. The best time to post our videos, it said, is 7 o'clock on a Friday, 7 o'clock at night. Now, I don't know what you do on Friday nights, but I'm not sitting here at 7 o'clock. And I'm actually going to try and raise this number out in the real
world. They're trying to raise the number. I'm trying to shake hands with these babies. Yeah. This number is pathetically low.
Yeah. So here's where we are today, folks. If I look at the live number, we have 4,660 homes available. Stand in line. That's where we're at. And what I thought I'd do today is I watched, I think Terry sent me an email this morning with, and showed me Ken McElraney. He's a great guy in Phoenix, got a place here in Arizona, one in Idaho, and he does a real deep dive into the real estate numbers. And I like how he approaches it. He's got this huge whiteboard, Pat, that's digital. So you can write on it, and you can, put things on there from your desktop. It's like, watching the election results, or they can move. So I've got whiteboard envy when I watch him.
Sounds like you'll be buying something here soon.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to get one of these days. So he kind of walked through, and he said that he looked at the forbearances. Okay. And then we're going to dive in and look at what's happening in our neck of the woods too. So nationally, he was talking, and basically he was saying, Black Knight says there's 3 million borrowers that are 30 days delinquent on their mortgage, and 2 million that are seriously delinquent, and that means they're in forbearance. Now we know there's a ton of people that are just doing forbearance because they can, because now they're paying off their credit cards, their cars, and all that stuff. So if 50% need to sell, we look at our Phoenix numbers, and we have 707,000 loans approximately. This is an old census. I don't have the current data. And 5% of that, if our forbearance number is that high, that's 35,000 people, right? So if half of those put their home on the market, that's 17,000 homes. Now, he said the inventory this year is affected by forbearance. That'll make inventory go up. Low rates are making inventory go down. Working from home's making inventory go down. Unemployment's making it go up. We don't know what's going to happen to renters. That may make inventory go up. And new supply builders, which new builds here in Arizona are about 14%. And of course, there's rates that could make that number change. And you saw a little bit of that this week, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. About quarter of rates went from the high 2s to about 3. I mean, they bumped up about a quarter point. I mean, a quarter point doesn't sound like a lot, but in the mortgage world, the last 10 days, the rates have been getting, like today it was down 24, the mortgage-backed security coupon was down 24 basis points, the 10-year MBS. And, the other day it was down 40 basis points. There's been a sell-off the last 10 days. Now, I think you're going to see, nothing goes down or goes up forever. There's going to be a base, short-term base. I think they'll settle back down. But obviously with this COVID talk, the package and inflation, but the jobless, I mean, you've got one thing that's going up and one thing that's going down. You got the jobless claims that came out that were higher than expected there too. So,
yeah, and I don't see anything in the stimulus package that makes me think the economy is going to explode. I just see a lot of spending.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Call me crazy, but except for the checks that they mail out, but I don't see it. So here's where we are in Arizona. This is total. You can see on the side here. I'm going to make this really big, Pat. I'm going to get us out of the picture, which should help improve our viewership. So if we go all the way down here to the right, oh, wouldn't you know it, it chose to refresh. This shows the number that we had today, which is 4650, right? Now, would you consider 2019 more of a normal market in Arizona, or was it still kind of on the seller, leaning towards the seller side?
It's still a seller's market.
Yeah. And so when I look at that number, we had active inventory of 18,000 right there.
Wow.
So, and the days of supply. Now, the National Association of Realtors says average supply of homes for a normal market is 4 to 6 months. That's their stats, but I think 6 months I think that's kind of high.
I always don't take months because a lot, the average person, what does that equate to? Wouldn't you say it's more like 20? I say it's 25 to 35,000 homes
for normal. Yeah. So this number I'm looking at in 2019 is like a 2.4 month supply. Okay. So that 17,000 number, remember when we started and said, if half of those forbearance numbers come in, that'll put us, and they go on the market, that'll put us at 21,000 active homes. And the good news of that is that gets us closer to normal, nowhere near a crash.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we go way over here at the top of the chart here, and this is 2011, we have 36,000 homes. That's that number. You said 35,000, right?
Yeah. We
had 36,000 homes, and they say that the days of inventory is 147 divided by 30. It's 4.9 homes. There's your normal market right there.
Yeah.
The buyer activity was they were still buying. Most of that was investor driven.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'd say 90% of that was all Blackstone, the big investment real estate groups that were going out and buying in Treehouse, or Invitation Homes, that they're going out and buying. I think the number was they were pumping 150 million. I saw an article. I don't know if you saw it. Back then in 2011, they were pumping in 150 million a week into buying homes. Back in 2011, 12.
yeah, that's pretty brutal. Well, I think what this is telling us is if we get this wave of forbearances that come on the market, that's going to be very well received.
Yeah.
And so they're not going to be foreclosures. A lot of those people are just going to need to sell. They'll have equity. They'll come out okay. Help them catch up. For the average buyer that's out there scrambling in this low market down here, you're going to get some very welcome relief. Now I'm going to show you something else too. If I get rid of all the cities and let's just pick one, and one of the lowest right now is Chandler and Gilbert. So if I go just to Chandler, and there we are. So they have 162 homes, 10 days of inventory.
Yeah.
I mean, so, and then you get out to, let's find something interesting here. Let's go to Paradise Valley. Get rid of Chandler.
I live in Chandler. Don't get rid of Chandler. I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah. So, Paradise Valley has 20 days of inventory. Normally,
God,
they're rocking and rolling at about a year's worth. Yeah, a year and a half.
A year and a half.
So if you look there, yeah, there were 147 days of inventory in 2011. So did I pop Chandler out there? No, I didn't. That's why it's dragging it down.
Yeah,
that once. So Chandler dragging down Paradise Valley. It's the only time that happens. So now let's look at it. Okay.
Yeah. See, 1 year.
92 days.
Yeah, but look at back in 2011, about a year and a half.
Yep. So, you just don't, check out Avondale. Let's do that. If anybody else has one city you want, pop in here. Let me know. So our job here is to just let people know what's going on in the numbers. We really don't try to make predictions, but we will, point out the obvious. And the obvious is now that, prices are going to go up at least for 6 months. And it's just because of these numbers, supply. Let's see, Avondale, what we got? 7.8 days. If no new homes come on in the next 7 days, you're out of luck out there.
You look back, even Avondale back in 2011, it was 112 days?
Yeah.
That's, basically about 4 months, give or take.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a lot of room right now. So
Yeah.
we have a lot of room before we get into that nasty, it's foreclosure time. There is so much room between here and foreclosure status that there's no other way to show it.
Yeah, we're really dispelling, just between you and me. You can't refute those. Well, first of all, you can't refute those numbers. We've got the past to take a look at what we're looking at right now. And, you just look at, and once again, I go back to the underwriting guidelines back in 2007, 8, 9, it was all the underwriting guidelines.
Yeah.
Why aren't more people selling? I think one of those reasons is that this last refinance boom, the last year and a half, we've really been in a refinance boom since, obviously you can go back to really 2000, 13, 14, 15. But we've been, the last year, especially the last 8 months, now that people have refinanced at 2.5 to 2 3/4%, or 2.25, whatever, give her on a VA. If you're locked in at a low rate, you got equity, you have no reason to sell.
Well, not only that, and you add to it right now, if you sell, you got to buy here.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people they tell me all the time, well, I don't know what I'd get. I'd like to move. if you sold here, it's a fairly good market. And if you sold here, it's a good market, or here, and now you've got choices. You've got something. Right now, there's just nothing there.
Well, that's it. And the thing they say, I think one of the biggest that from my perspective, I think people, there's still a ton of people that I guess that haven't refinanced. I guess there's still a number out there I don't, that they haven't refinanced, because I think a lot of people, for whatever reason, they're maybe at 3.75%, 4%. They're like, okay, I'm happy. I don't want to go through the rigmarole of getting the paperwork together and refinancing. And, okay, I'm saving $150, but $150, $200 a month is $200 a month. But a lot of people, believe it or not, I'm surprised. I have talked to people in the last couple of years who are like, it's too much trouble. And I'm like, my thinking is that you're already in this loan. I'm not selling you something new. You're already paying for it.
Yes.
Why don't you try to readjust your payment? It's not like I'm selling you a new car.
Yeah. And let's face it, moving sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think a lot of people, the people that refinance, and once again, just to repeat what I just said a couple seconds ago, is I think people refinanced and they're at 2.5, 2 5/8. They're like, I got equity. I have no reason to move.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which Peoria?
Here's Peoria. They have 10.4 days of inventory. So you have a little over a week to find something out there. Otherwise, you're just left with a condo. There's 10 days of inventory.
That's the thing. I was on a loan officer call with our company this morning, and people were saying, what about, because we were talking about the condos. When people are looking at condos are just an animal amongst themselves. Even all, we had about 25 or 30 different LOs on the call, and they're like, even the owner of our company, Andy Price, was like, condos are just, they could drive you nuts because of the laws and regulations that you have from a lending perspective. And, and condos, honestly, if you think about it, increasing the condos, I've just thought about this, but if you think about condos for a family of a husband, wife, and 2 kids, 3 kids, if they're moving from an apartment, do they really want to move in from an apartment to a condo?
No, I think if you don't like apartment living, you will not like condos. And one of the reasons is your apartment living has professional management, and condos have associations run by people that used to be hall monitors in grade school. So they don't know what they're doing. I'm trying to find Santan on here, and I don't believe this chart is including it. And that's why I'm trying to look at I think it's the wrong county. So I just pulled up Queen Creek. And it's 10.4. Santan is just as brisk as anywhere else. What I run into in Santan right now too, though, unfortunately, is, that was a part of the valley where they built homes really quickly. And a lot of them they're just in bad shape. Their windows are falling apart, because they put in the cheapest windows you can. You get that fast construction that was happening back in the 2006, and they slapped them up like crazy, and they're not the best.
But that's been a hot area. It's been still a hot area because the whole the retail has been developing down there, and there's a lot of people that are pushing that way. Santan, Maricopa.
One of the things that stood out to me is let me pop back to a city again for a second here. So let's look at just a comparison. Let's go to Gilbert. And I want to look at the chart here for a second. So it's down, dip, up.
What year was that dip? What was that dip? I can't see the years.
2018.
Oh, okay.
Now, when I go to Surprise, it just popped out to me. Surprise here didn't seem to have as many dips. And maybe it's because that's where all the new construction was. So let me take a look. This thing moves around on me. It's hard to find it. So there we got it. So it still had some dips. It must have been one of the other cities again. So up, down, up, down, up, down. So it's an interesting way to look at the homes. And yeah, they said it's in Pinal County. Yep. That's why it's not showing up on here. It's only giving me Maricopa. It's pretty much identical to Queen Creek.
Yeah, there's no there's not one market that stands by itself like, oh, this is the area that, I haven't seen it,
I do get questions every
there's
week that says, "What about this city? What about that city?" And they're all the same. There's just
there is
nothing else.
there's one city I never heard of that popped up in our Zoom call at our office today, because we have a once a month kind of like what's going on, or there's a area called Circle City.
Never
Have you
heard
ever
of it.
heard? It's up by Waddell. It's in the
Okay.
northwest part. It's up by Waddell and where Whitman.
Okay.
Supposedly they're building homes, pretty reasonably priced homes up there. But I mean, it's up in Whitman.
Yeah, that's the middle of nowhere. So, and that's cold. So,
Yeah.
not too bad. I saw it just popped up in my email was weekend getaways, and it was suggesting Sedona, and it. So I thought, well, I'll take a look at this, see what's going on. Maybe I'll pop up this weekend. They actually had a cave that you could rent for $241 a night. It had beds in it, lights. It's literally a cave. They showed a guy in there meditating and stuff like that. I'm not going there if it's a cave. I want to. I don't know. Maybe, but it looked pretty interesting. So I didn't book anything. So, but
it's funny you talk about the forbearances, because like I said, I read the article, I looked at the information on the site as far as forbearances. They're talking about, once again, they talked about it, that forbearances are just going to equal out the equity. People have equity. The people that are in forbearances have enough equity to get out of their house. That might be loosen up the pipeline a little bit, but the reason we're seeing the explosion is the demographics. And like I said, I think the biggest, from my perspective, I think people have refinanced. They bought their home in 13, 14, 15, 16. They refinanced and they're like, I'm going to be here for a while. And they're just,
I don't think it's as COVID driven as people think it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it's, I'm not letting anybody in because of COVID. I think it's because there's other states where COVID's not as prevalent, and like South Dakota, they're, telling you can take off your mask, in Florida, and they're still having,
Florida's having the same. Yeah. I think people are just going to have to read. I mean, I was talking to a loan officer about half an hour ago, and I said, I'm starting to get quivers whenever I get that phone call now from, hey, I'm a first time home buyer. Because I mean, they have to readjust their thinking. I was talking to another loan officer this morning. He's like, yeah, a lot of first time home buyers, they're just getting frustrated. What do they do? They're kind of like, I'm going to sit on the sidelines for a while. But I think from my perspective, I'm going to throw two things out there that, because, I'm trying to sit here thinking, okay, if I was a first time home buyer, is there any way that can move the needle for my situation? And I think the biggest thing is, it kind of goes to the buyer that has got a down payment of 20%. I think they have to readjust their thinking. And we talked about this a couple of times ago, but you have to just say, I'm going to put less money down, 5% down. If I got 20%, let's say on a $400,000 house, you got $80,000 to put down. I think, which is 20%. Beautiful. I can get 20%. I'm good. I think you just have to say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna bid. The house is $400,000. I might have to pay $430,000 or $440,000 for that house. So that $400,000 house, you put 5% down, it's $20,000. And that other 15%, if you really want to get in the house, you're going to have to use for an overbid cash price.
Yep, I agree.
I mean, that's the only way. And that, or go to a relative to get, a gift. If you really want to, get it. But I think I'm just trying to think outside the box for the first time home buyer. And I think they have to say, okay, I'm not going to put 20% down or 15% down, and put 5% down. Or you can even, if you're in conventional guidelines, you can go 3% if you're a first time home buyer. And you've got to use that other $30,000, $40,000 or whatever to, to put into the, cash offer.
Well, I think another thing to look at too is, if you look at this chart, we're way down here. We're not going to stay way down there, just like we didn't stay way up here.
Yeah.
I don't care if this is car sales, soybeans, oil, gold. A chart doesn't go to one spot and
the chart doesn't have a straight line. That chart does not have a straight line, which is a good news for the future. I mean, it's not going to go.
It does have sort of a trend line.
Yeah.
Which is telling you it's not going to stay here. So it's your tolerance of how, and the challenge is, okay, we are going to go up, well over 20% in the next few months. It's going to be brutal. So when we go to normal, then we're not going to dip 20%, but the price will be higher than it is today, but it's going to be easier to get into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I missed the days of writing an FHA loan and just having it,
be normal,
be accepted because it was clean, because you could still ask for some seller contributions to help with closing costs. And so, there's ways, in that kind of a market to get some relief. And now it's just tough. But I just, when I look at a chart like this, look, it's not going to stay there. So no. I don't know when it's going to go back to normal, but the prevailing conversation, not just with Ken, but if you get a chance, go to Ken McElroy, McElroy. You'll find him on YouTube. He has that video today. The guy's great. And he does a really good job of illustrating on a whiteboard, showing you a situation. And I
think we do a pretty good job too, though.
But I don't have that whiteboard. But we're both saying the same thing. We're saying, look, there's this number that's out there is going to convert. How many of them are going to convert, and what does it mean to the market? And what I like about Ken, and you and I have been saying this, it's just math. So he takes the emotion out of real estate and says, guys, look at it. You got to look at the math. And the math is saying that if all these homes come on, we're going to approach normal.
Yeah.
And so I think that's encouraging. And if you're out there and you're waiting, and it just doesn't look like you're going to get in anytime soon, then, just sit on the sidelines and wait. Because in that kind of a market, you're not getting scooped out by cash buyers. And that forbearance number that's out there may hit other markets like California and Chicago harder and change their inventory numbers more dramatically than ours. So as we approach normal, they might approach a buyer's market instead of a seller's market.
Yeah. People could say, and people have a tendency to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, how real estate's, like California could go down to New York. But you know what? All you and I care about is, Phoenix and the surrounding area for our viewers, because people are, when you see people, struggling in Texas, and even I think Texas is getting a little crack in their armor, with the weather. Arizona's proven to be, we're like this isolated state, taxes are reasonable. We don't have mudslides. We don't have, we got traffic, but now it's California. We don't have the taxes, regulations. This is going to be
ice storms.
Yeah. So I think people, once again, I saw this number recently. Obviously you've talked about, they're seeing strong demand through 2025. I don't know what they said that 2025, but I think people have to realize too that I think Phoenix for many years was very undervalued. And now you had San Francisco and Chicago and New York up here, and Arizona was down here. I think we've come up, and who's this, look at San Diego's up here too. I think we're just kind of maybe we're coming up to the averages now after many, many years.
Yeah, it's really hard to say what is the bar that says we're now unaffordable. So in San Diego, what point did they go up? We're unaffordable because they're still selling houses.
Yeah.
And San Jose, well, they're clearly unaffordable. LA is unaffordable. Like next to where my son's renting, he goes, Dad, that house 1.3 million. And I'm
Yeah,
walking with my
that's
phone and
ridiculous
I'm
market.
pulling
That's
them
a
up and I'm
ridiculous
going,
market.
really? Yeah.
Now,
But and who's buying them? Stupid people.
yeah, I mean, but we got enough technology. We have enough companies moving here, technology companies. We have a big. That's why Gilbert and Chandler have been pretty hot areas because you do have a lot of tech companies moving here.
Well, and along with tech too, people don't have to buy blind anymore. When I moved to California, I didn't know what the existing inventory was. I didn't really know many choices I had. We would pick up the magazines at the grocery store and flip through them at the frustration of our real estate agent. We go, we want to see this house. And, there was no way to get on and look and research numbers and inventory and prices and where they're trending. And now you've got all of that. You can go crazy looking at numbers. And so
Well, I
you
think
can really do
being
a deep dive.
being an economist, I mean, or econ degree, I think maybe all this information the last 10, 15 years has brought the inefficiencies out of the Phoenix market and brought it more to be more of an efficient market, efficiently priced.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of looking at this, our 1 year anniversary of having this call is coming up in 5 weeks. And I'm going to show that first live call because one of the things we struggled with was when we clicked the go live button, we didn't think we were live. And we're like, are we on? I can't tell. Wait, because I'm looking at YouTube and I'm waiting. YouTube has a delay versus what it shows on mine, and your mic wasn't working. So I'm never going to delete that video. People can go back and look at it. And we're trying to figure out some kind of giveaway and a prize. But good news too, March 3rd. Now, this chart that I was showing you guys.
Hey, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
Don't expect flowers and candy and chocolates from me on the first year. I'm not
even going to drive around your, not even going to drive around your neighborhood. So I have Tina Tambour from the Cromford Report booked for 8:30 in the morning on March 3rd. And you're going to be able to ask her questions. She is the senior analyst for the Cromford Report. And so when you're looking at these numbers, they're the ones that put it together. And so they can, she's going to be able to answer everything. She's very entertaining and she knows her stuff, and she's not a real estate agent. She's an analyst. And so she's going to be available. Now there is a feature on YouTube. I don't know how many people are going to be on there, how many questions there's going to be. When I'm on here, I pull the comments over and put them on the screen, but there's going to be so many that are rolling up that YouTube has a feature called Super Chat, and you can click on that and you can give anything from like 50 cents to $5 to move your question up to the top of the line. I don't think we're going to get that booked on questions, but if that happens, you might want to take a look at that Super Chat. Plus, you get a really cool little icon. But I'm really looking forward to that. I got her to commit to that on yesterday, and so that's going to be fun. And I'm trying to get, there's an economist, he's a finance guy here in Phoenix that I'm trying to get on. And I can't trace down his phone number. He's out there. He's on YouTube. He's got this firm, but there's, oh gosh, I'll have to go back and look it up here. I had, I don't want to waste the YouTube time on it.
Okay.
Joe something, but he's really good at talking macro economics and drilling down where things are. He's got a firm here in Phoenix, but I'm gonna get him on there because I want people coming on here and talking about the market that aren't in the business as well. So you and I are in the business, and that can skew us a little bit, but at the same time, we live it every day. We see it. We see things other people don't. But it is nice to bring somebody in from outside of the industry.
Yeah.
Because we tend to regurgitate the same thing to each other at cocktail parties. It's tough out there.
One other thing too, as far as, remember, I gave you the one idea as far as people have to, I think, readjust their thinking as far as how much they're putting down to readjust. They just have to get out of that mode. Because I think I talk to a lot of people. They come at me, I want to put 20% down, and I want to put 20% down, or I want to put this amount of money down. I'm like, well, just have to kind of maybe readjust your thinking. Another thing is too, as I mentioned, is couple calls is, looking at maybe like you had said, look at that home that needs a little work, that needs a 203K loan, or a home that's FHA 203K loan, or the home style renovation loan. Yeah, that's the conventional, basically mini construction loan on a house. They can, you can buy a house for $250,000. They appraise the house for $250,000, but then you're saying I'm going to put $100,000 or $150,000. They'll actually appraise the house after looking at all your work. Say, okay, this will be a $400,000 house after you put this work in.
Yeah, and that's great stuff because there's so many people that are letting open door and offer pad grab the equity, and you can too. So, go ahead and accept that crappy carpet and that god awful wallpaper, and because the house looks terrible, but look at the bones, get it in, make an offer, get it inspected. If all the mechanical things work, you can pour some money into the interior and you can fix up the yard, and that sweat equity is now yours. And people aren't doing that today. They're letting the iBuyers do it. And so you've got Zillow, Open Door, OfferPad, and Knock. And Knock only sold 2 homes last month, so they don't have any listings
I know
now.
how those iBuyers are still, they're not, they can't be doing anything in this market.
They aren't making any money. They haven't made any money. And Zillow, I think, put out how much they were making, but by the time they weren't including all of their fees, their advertising, their ongoing costs. And there was a big article on it that said that, these guys still are only being supported by venture capitalists, but they're not making any money. Kind of like Elon Musk.
Yeah.
He didn't make any money on paper until this year. And of all the billions he's spending, he made $10 million. So now he bought 1.5 billion in Bitcoin. He's making more money off of Bitcoin than he is making cars. So it's a crazy market out there. And I don't know how you're going to buy a house with Bitcoin, but somebody's going to figure it out. I think you can.
Not eventually you can. I looked at the guidelines. You still can't. I mean, I haven't seen anything.
But it changes. It went up $3,500 today. I mean, how do you? I give you $1. It's not $1.10 by noon. It's so. So why digress? Anyway, Pat, have a fabulous weekend, and we will see everybody next Friday.
Yep. Thank you, Rick.